At Direct Service Garage Doors, we are your one-stop shop for all things garage door. From garage door repair and broken spring replacement to new garage doors and openers, we do it all. We're proud to be among the highest-rated local garage door companies in all of Central Arkansas. Our highly trained technicians are available 24 hours a day at no extra cost to you. So if you have an emergency, call us today, 501-244-3667, or visit our website at directserviceoverhead.com. Don't wait days. We'll fix it now.
All right, here we go, baby. Flamingo Friday in full effect. Also, for you gaming nerds out there, Diablo 4 open beta. I guess it's open. I thought you had to pre-order the damn thing, but apparently it's open. I don't know. If you pre-ordered the game, I know you're going to have access to Diablo 4 for you gaming nerds out there. You dorks. All right, 3, 2, 1. Yo, what's going on, Arkansas Razorback fans? Welcome to Tuss Talk with Ty. Hope you guys are doing swell. I'm in a, I don't know what kind of environment I'm in this room. It's like cold. It's really cold in here, but I'm wearing I'm doing the thing. I'm doing the flamingo thing, right? Flamingo Friday. We got to live it up. We got the little logo down there. And of course we have a super chat up and running too. Happy Friday, by the way. Shout out to Circle. They're not an official sponsor, but who knows? This is the raspberry lemon, and it's so good. So good. And if you don't want any, look at me here. I'm over here shilling for Circle, who again is not a sponsor. If you want full flavor, you go all the way over to the 9, right? On your little tab thing there. I don't know if you can see that. And then if you want like just water, you go all the way over. This has been a thing. We've been talking about this in Discord. So, you guys, those of you who know, you get it. All right. Shout out to Patreon supporters. I've been going on about water lately, and there's nothing wrong with that, okay? It's healthy. It's flavored water, okay? Just get over it. It's great. All right. Again, that's Circle. Totally not a sponsor. Shout out to Patreon supporters. Look at you. Oh, we're so close to 50. Oh, my gosh. If we break 50, that would be fantastic. It really would. It'd be wonderful. Thank you guys. Again, whether you're a $4 donor or if you're part of the $8 up club, might have to make a 20 and up club. Some of you, golly, I really do appreciate it. Shout out to you guys. And of course, to our sponsors, Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. They will repair your door, replace it, whatever you need to do, they'll do it. They offer same-day services, quality parts, and affordable outcomes. Give them a call today. Get set up. 501-244-3667. Again, that's Direct Service Overhead, the garage door company. And, of course, Apex Tattoo Studio, located in Rogers, Arkansas. Listen, if you're coming up for a baseball game, I know there's several of you that are big time. You're all about the baseball. It's not that far. Rogers, I mean, you know this. right? Any one of you, it's funny. I think the majority of the audience that listens to this is actually outside of NWA, which is fascinating. But for those of you that are here, get set up, man. Go get you some ink done. They're located at 201 South 19th Street in Rogers, Arkansas. Walk-ins are welcomes. They're offering tap-out sessions for 10% off. I think all art, actually. Anything you want done, they're offering 10% off, of course. So 479-278-2694 is their number. And again, walk-ins are welcome. All right, what do we got going on? What's up? What's up? Arkansas baseball starts off conference play today. Is that right? Is that right? Going up against Auburn, they moved the time. It's at 4. Is that right? They moved it up to 4. Exciting. This is good. Opening up conference play against Auburn. Arkansas's played a pretty salty schedule. They're riding a wonderful win streak here. What is it? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10-game win streak. They swept UNLV 13-7 game 1. Short series, just 2-game midweek series. 5-2 in the second game. And they're gonna host Auburn. So if you're coming up for Auburn, it's supposed to be a beautiful week. I mean, I know it was freezing last night, and it's going to be cold at night during the PMs. That's why they moved the game up to 4, which kind of sucks for people if you made arrangements. I already saw someone on Facebook talking about this. They made arrangements to come into town. They're from outside of NWA. Well, I don't want to give it away where they're coming from exactly, but just north of Little Rock, and they're driving up here, and they were all excited. They're going to get off work at a little early today. Now they're going to have to leave like really early to get here, so that kind of sucks for those people. I mean, it's going to get cold tonight. So that's 4 p.m. today, 2 p.m. on Saturday, 2 p.m. on Sunday. It's all sunny from what I'm hearing here. When I'm looking at it, it looks like it's all sunshine. So those 2 p.m. games ought to be a little warmer for you. You got Southeast Missouri State midweek at March 21st, and then you go on the road to take on LSU March 24th, 25th, 26th at Baton Rouge. Also, let's not forget Odd Soul. We've got the poll up here. I wanted to do something a little different. I noticed someone's already kind of questioning the poll a little bit. I thought this was a fascinating matchup because of what KU can do on the floor. They're a little bit smaller they're quite a bit smaller than Illinois, but they're a little bit more up and down the floor, a little quicker pace at times. So I wanted to know the Hogs can win with a limited Nick Smith Jr. versus KU. It's that simple, right? Just that simple. Can they win with a limited Nick Smith Jr.? And listen, so far it's 50-50. So it's a good poll. The closer the better. Right now it's a good poll. So that is brought to you by the Odd Soul. It's the Odd Soul Tuss Talk with Ty poll. Or we'll just call it the Odd Soul poll because that just sounds even cooler. The Odd Soul poll. Located on Emma Street right here in Springdale. They've got pies and they got IPAs. That's what they do over there. Fantastic. Totally not a sponsor yet. Talking about Circle. Circool. They're cool. They spell it they spell circle differently. It's CIRKUL. Get with the times, homie, I guess. I don't know. It's good. It's good. It's good. We were talking yesterday about imagining the possibilities with alcohol. Just saying, a little bit of alcohol in there. That's what I'm talking about. Baseball will end just in time for us to watch the beginning of us kicking Kansas's rear end, says Austin. Oh, all right. I like where your head's at. What's up, Paul Raymond? How you doing, man? Recent Patreon joiner. What's going on, Paul? We went to UK and smacked them without Smith. That is true. That's a very good point. So again, if you guys are just joining in, make sure you like the stream. Got to get the likes up. Make sure you share the content. 53% of you now saying no. So we had another vote come in. 53% are saying no. Gonna need Nick Smith. I thought you were low-key slipping some inside info on us saying limited Nick Smith. Oh, no. No. I mean limited like he was in game 1. Limited like he was against Illinois in terms of just of what he was doing on the floor. Yeah. Feel like Graham could do some damage against Kansas, says Aaron Harbison. Is the game going to be televised, the baseball game? So I think so on SEC Network. Listen, I'm all about that 4 p.m. Like that's almost 5 p.m. is perfect. 5 p.m. is like pristine. That's what you want. But 4 p.m. I'm all about it because I'll be home with the kids. I'll have the kids picked up and brought home. And then I can get settled in, light up a cigar, I don't know what the hell we're doing for dinner. I don't know if we're going to order out or if we're going to actually cook tonight. If we cook, that'll kind of suck, but then I can watch the game if I cook some din-din. So, either way, I'm kind of digging the 4 p.m. We eat early dinners. We try to eat early dinners. So this will be smack dab right in the middle of that. And that actually works out fine for me because I like having something to listen to when I'm doing whatever around the house, but especially when it comes to cooking some din-din. We might order out. I don't know why we wouldn't. Why not? It's Friday night, spring break. Kids are out of school all next week. Again, the shows next week are going to be kind of, I don't know when I'm going live next. It's a little bit different environment, obviously, when you got spring break going on. So just a heads up, all right? And that's kind of going to be if Arkansas gets eliminated in the tournament. I mean, eventually they're going to. Who knows if they get past Kansas, what they could do. If they get eliminated, I'll say that. If they get eliminated, I know some people don't like me living in the certainty, in that living in certainty. Not supposed to do that, right? But if they get eliminated, then the schedule it'll get a little bit crazier. Obviously, one or two less shows a week, as I'm going to start working on getting more edited content out there, more shorts uploaded and things like that. So, yeah, Auburn's going to be an interesting matchup. That'll be a good one. So right now, yeah, it's showing SEC Network Plus on all three. So that should mean if you've got the ESPN app, you should have access. Eve Tiller, didn't you have Arizona going all the way this year? I don't want to talk about it. Why you got to do that, Eve? What up with that? Why you got to do that, Eve? You came in here and super chatted just for that, didn't you? Why you gotta throw shade, huh? I feel like violence has been committed upon me. Maybe I did. Oh, man. Yeah, everybody. I think everyone's brackets got shredded. I don't know that everyone picked Arizona like I did. I liked Arizona, even though they're out of that trashy Pac-12. Boy, the Pac just looks like shit right now. Yeah. So, first super chat of the day right there. Get the shade thrown at me. All right. I appreciate it. Aaron says, Hogs just needed to get a super hat. Just need to get a super hat in to make sure everyone knows. Oh, super chat. Okay. Aaron says, for a second I thought you were talking about my Ram hat. And I'm like, bro, it's cold outside. Just need to get a super chat in to make sure everyone knows it's up and running. I appreciate you, Aaron. I really do. That slim 3.5-point line from Vegas says a lot about this game. Yeah, I think it started out at 4, and then it went down to 3.5. Yeah, in favor of Kansas, obviously, but not bad. You see my first comment. What was your first comment? Just waiting for my circle to come in, man. Everyone's getting the circles. What's going on, Scott? How you doing, man? I'm totally Central Arkansas, says Pigpen. Yeah, like I think like 70% of the audience that watches this, I bet of my 985,000 total views, I feel like 70% of those come from out of Northwest Arkansas. It's fascinating, especially when I say things like, we need to get out of Little Rock. We need to stop playing football there. And yet, people outside of NWA just really they're here. They make up so much more of the audience. I'll bring all the negativity, oh boy, about the game tomorrow in Discord. I'd be careful with that one, Scott. I don't see your first comment. I feel like I read it, Aaron. Was it the Graham comment? I read it. I had Houston and I had Houston and then looked like crap last night. Did it change my? Yeah, it was at 4. It's at 3.5 now. It did drop. It did. All right. Let's get into spring camp now, or the scrimmage. I obviously wasn't there. This is just me reading some notes from around the internet, what people were kind of saying here and there, just some observations. This is coming from Hogville. They had the scrimmage, and then they did these, I guess, 7-on-7. I mean, you guys know what 7-on-7 is, but I guess they had their own 7-on-7 session where Jefferson threw a 12-yard touchdown to Armstrong. I told you guys, Armstrong's having a pretty good spring camp. And one from the same distance. So Tesla also had it looks like a 12-yard touchdown. Fortin threw a 12-yard touchdown to Luke Haas, freshman. He tossed a 7-yard touchdown pass to Tesla. Again, I think this is coming from Otis Kirk. I'm not entirely sure. It was off Hogville. I know that. Criswell threw a 12-yard touchdown to Marlon Crockett, and one of the same distance to Isaiah Centennia. Singleton hit, again, some names here you've probably never heard, Cameron Bibby for a 12-yard touchdown. He also found Khalil Geralt. I want to say Geralt so bad. Yeah. Anyone who, if you've watched The Witcher, played the games, or maybe even read the books, you know who I'm talking about. But he caught a 7-yard touchdown, and Green, I'm assuming AJ Green from the same distance. Metcalf, freshman safety, had an interception off of Criswell, if I'm reading this correctly. Now, I made a comment about Arkansas, bringing in Joshua Braun from Florida and putting him at right tackle, when word on the street was, now this is not quoting him at all. This is just coming from a couple of folks who I've talked to. Joshua Braun, it wasn't like a big deal. It wasn't one of those deal breakers as far as I know. Now, he may be quoted as saying that somewhere. I'm not sure. Maybe I missed it. But I know from people I've talked to, right tackle is not what he had in mind. Now, they had him running with the ones at right tackle on Tuesday. Right? Was it Tuesday or was it Monday? It was Tuesday. Yeah. Tuesday, because Monday I'm unable to do anything because of we have Kumon. We have math tutoring after school, so I don't have time to go to practice. So they weren't open to the media on Monday. It was Tuesday. So it was Tuesday, and we saw him line up at right tackle, and I overheard, Otis Kirk kind of leaned over and made a comment like, wait a minute, he's playing right tackle? Whoa, wait a minute here. So that is something that we'll have to keep an eye on. The difference being, I think a lot of what was going on at Florida was maybe Braun didn't really mesh with what they were trying to do offensively, and that maybe the possibilities of being a starter this next year maybe going to be difficult, and he felt like he could slide into – excuse me, this water's coming back up. Actually, I had eggs this morning, eggs and bacon. I think that's also starting to all accumulate, you know what I mean, with mixing in with this water. In case you're eating lunch right now, I hope I didn't just make you turn off to your lunch all of a sudden. But again, Braun, the expectations were he was going to play interior. He was going to play somewhere at guard on either side. So they had him at right tackle on Tuesday, and it sounds like they moved him back to right guard. So the starting offensive line apparently that worked with the ones was Brady Latham at left tackle, Patrick Kutas at left guard, which I think he's been mixed in mostly with the twos. Obviously, he's fighting his way into the ones. They're trying to see how he meshes at that left guard spot. Remember, too, and I reported this here last year during right smack dab in the middle of the season, they were working Patrick Kutas out at center, and he was struggling. Now, got to keep in mind, he was a freshman. It's not a position I don't think he played much of in high school. Mostly played, I think, guard, if I remember correctly. He was more of an interior guy when he was on the offensive line. So, and it wasn't really working out. So now, I mean, clearly he's an interior guy. Probably odds are not center at the moment. They got him at left guard, Bo Limmer at center, Joshua Braun at right guard, right tackle, and Marion Harris. Harris is that guy you feel like has all the potential in the world. Really, what's crazy is I think every one of these guys I just mentioned, outside of maybe one, are all conference caliber guys. I think all of these guys have pretty high ceilings. Bo Limmer, who graded out really well according to Pro Football Focus. We know the staff really likes Bo. We know they really like Joshua Braun. They've worked him out with the ones at right tackle and at right guard. I think, and I said this when he signed, I felt like he was going to compete at minimum to be a backup year one, and then we'll see. And it looks like he might be above that. He might be working his way in with the ones. Now, this could change. All these names could change, I feel like, maybe outside of Bo Limmer. Who knows, right? I mean, it would be surprising, but it seems like we're starting to see them get settled in when it comes to the spring roster. May not be the same. Remember, guys grow, they mature, things, coaches review film, they review spring film over the summer when they're not recruiting. We know June's going to be a heavy recruiting month. So, moving into fall, it might be a little bit different. And that goes for every position, not just on the offensive line. Coach Kennedy, I feel like, has got to feel pretty good about what he has to work with, especially with guys like Joshua Braun, Bo Limmer. I like Marion Harris, who's got a lot of potential. Patrick Kutas, who I've been a fan of. I like all these guys. Brady Latham at left tackle, that might be a spot that gets moved. Maybe Devin Manuel takes that spot. But right now it looks like the ones, that's the group. Again, Latham, Kutas, Limmer, Braun, and Marion Harris. That could change next week. And so just, keep your head on a swivel, right? So again, that was what I quoted you about the 7-on-7 was from Hogville. So, but yeah, apparently the quarterbacks had the best day of what we've seen so far, it sounds like. Receivers and tight ends, like they're working on. I saw some of the film that was uploaded, some of the videos that were uploaded. Hate that I wasn't there, man. I really wanted to be there, but again, I had to watch the NCAA tournament. I'm glad I got to do that. Right, that was a fun post game show, and obviously Arkansas got the win. But man, I wanted to be there for this one. But yeah, it sounds like the quarterbacks, and you can tell they're working on. I don't know. Every coach kind of has a different verbiage or saying for what the drills are, but it's about getting the receivers and the quarterbacks on the same page, working on syncing up the timing, and that's something that to me, what I've seen through spring camp, Dan Enos is working on pretty hard. I like watching Enos coach. I like watching him, how active he is and how vocal, how loud he is with his quarterbacks. He doesn't look at all like someone who's walked in and is shy at all. Now, you don't expect that from any coordinator. You want them to come in. You want them to have command over what they're doing and control. And I'm not saying Kendall didn't have that, but it seems like Dan is a little bit more interactive with his guys. Again, Kendall was too, but it feels like Dan a little bit louder and more to the point and is loud about it, right? Kendall would kind of huddle up with his quarterbacks, and he would have his notebook out, right, and his quarterbacks would kind of be all around him. He'd be going over stuff, which is fine. I think it worked out great for him. He did a great job with KJ. There's no doubt. We could talk about Hornsby, but I think Hornsby kind of I don't know. I don't know that he had a real high ceiling in this. Well, to be honest, had the passing game worked out the way it should have for him, and he developed in the passing game a little more, and I don't know, some of you might hold Kendall – like that's on Kendall, or you could probably look. Sometimes it's not on the coach. Sometimes it's just the player. But the job that Kendall's done with KJ, it's night and day better. It's so far above where he was at before Kendall took over, right? We'll see if Dan can keep that trend going. But, again, I really like the way he coaches the offense, and I like how interactive and how he'll choose somebody's ass. And it feels like when he's doing that, the whole staff is a little bit more – like they're doing it, they're a little bit more hands-on with their group positions, from what I can tell. Again, I have a very small window. I was fortunate enough to have any kind of access at all last year, but I went to every fall camp except I think one practice, and I went to the majority of I went to the Monday practices, or was it Tuesday? I was only able to make one practice a week during the season, but I went to a lot, and you kind of observe how the coaches interact with their players. Dan Enos, to me, and again, I'm sure other people who've been around it longer they probably think it's just a run-of-the-mill hire, and maybe it is. They feel like maybe the way he is on the field with his players, like that's just kind of the standard. And maybe that I'm sure that's the case. But again, it just seems like he's a little bit more vocal with his players compared to Kendall. Not by a lot. Again, it's not by a lot. Oh, boy. What else we got going on here? Again, we already talked about baseball. We're knocking it out. We're crushing it. We're killing it. We're going to try and focus here in the coming weeks on recruiting. Again, once you get into, especially we got the portal coming up, that's right around the corner. We're going to get back into that. That, of course, Patreon supporters in Discord have access to that. To some of the targets, I've got that page listed only for no. Remember what I said. We're not doing pro football focused numbers anymore. I don't want to do that. But behind closed doors for Patreon supporters, they have access to the targets, right? And maybe whatever it is that if you're a Patreon supporter, you could find that under the Patreon side on Discord. So keep an eye out for that. All right. Okay. What's good, Ty? What's going on, Roy Davenport? Look at you. We got a member up in the hizzy. How you doing, sir? Hope all is well with you. Small world. Wait, what's a small world? My cousin Michael works at... Oh, okay. You guys are talking about something else. Here we go again. Chat's on its own. Doing good in the Test Talk with Ty bracket challenge. Well, congratulations, man. Good job, Brett. I don't know how I'm doing, actually. I took a brief look at it this morning. Right now in the West, I'm undefeated. I'm 4-0. I had UCLA, and I picked Northwestern over Boise State. I picked Kansas, obviously, and I picked Arkansas. So right now, I am 4-0 in that bracket. Of course, we've got a bunch of games out of that bracket going on. St. Mary's versus VCU, UConn, who I don't know if it's fair to call a 4-seed a sleeper, but the more you look at this bracket, it's, oh, man, just getting to the Sweet 16. Yeah, I mean, of course, you got to get past Kansas, but getting past the Sweet 16 and the Elite Eight, good Lord, I don't know, man. It's tough. It's tough, but they're all tough, right? How did I do in the East bracket? I am 2-0 over there. So right there, I'm 6-0. And then, of course, I think the majority of us picked Arizona over Princeton. Princeton, the 15 over the 2. I did pick Missouri over Utah State. I picked Virginia over Furman. And I did that knowing that they don't have a good history, Virginia, in the tournament. Round 1. I did that knowing. Because I had read, I was kind of looking over an article about round 1, games to watch for. And someone had mentioned, well, Virginia, their history. I don't know. I'm going to take Virginia because they should be that much more talented than Furman, but you never know. And so kind of looking at their history, and I hadn't realized, well, whatever. They should be fine. Virginia, I don't know a ton about them, but they should be able to get past Furman. They dropped that game by a point, 68-67. But other than that, I am 4-2 in that bracket right now. We still got 2 games left. Baylor, UCSB, Creighton, and NC State. Yeah, and then in the Midwest bracket, I am 1-1, 1-2, 2-2. So not horrible, but yeah. I do have Kansas over Arkansas in the bracket. I do. That when I filled it out, I told you guys that doesn't mean that's necessarily my pick for today. So, this is a tough second round matchup. To have to deal with Kansas, 1 seed right out the gate again, that's the situation you're in. When you don't play well, especially in the month of February, when it looks like you're turning things around and you don't, you lose some games, you get blown out against Tennessee, you can't win your revenge games, you struggle in certain aspects, you beat the shit out of a couple teams you should have beaten the shit out of, talking about Georgia and Florida. But not a lot of positives in the month of February, especially in the midweek on. We didn't get that turnaround from Musselman. And looking up Kansas and trying to break this game down is interesting. Because there's some similar things like with Arkansas and Illinois. Remember we talked about how bad both these teams were at free throw percentage and three-point shooting, right? KU and Arkansas share some similarities. They do. Now, KU has played a far more difficult, like when you look at their quad 1 games, it's insane. They played so many quad 1 games. They lost 7. I think they won Hang on, let me pull that up here really quick. It's nuts. Someone's going to beat me to it, I know. But let's see, net ranking. They finished. We know they finished in the top 10. Yeah, they finished 9th. 27-7, 7-4 on the road. 5-2 neutral floor, 15-1 at home, 17-7 in quad 1 games. I was wrong. They did. Okay, I was wrong. I thought they had a quad 2 loss, but they don't. I thought they had a quad 2 and a quad 3 loss with 5 quad 1 losses, but I was wrong. It was 17-7 in quad 1, 4-0 in quad 2, 3-0 in quad 3, 3-0 in quad 4. That is a ass ton of quad 1 matchups. I mean, Alabama went 13-5. You know, they played 18, but Kansas with 24 quad 1 games. That's crazy. That's nuts. Arizona was 9-2. 7-0 is one of the reasons why I liked them a lot. They were undefeated on neutral floor. But if you look at their road, you know, they were 6-4 on the road. But they were 9-2 in quad 1, but they were 7-4 in quad 2. That's strange for an Arizona team. But went undefeated in quad 3 and quad 4, but they're eliminated. But Kansas out of the Big 12, I think they played a tougher schedule than Arkansas. But let's look at it this way. The SEC is not exactly doing terrible in the tournament so far. They're not doing terrible so far. Tennessee got their win. Of course, Arkansas got their win. A&M was eliminated against Penn State. I stand by what I said. I still think Texas A&M caught a bad seed. I feel like it's about what you deserve. It's not about the outcome of the game. Penn State just caught fire and could not miss. That was unfortunate for A&M. But so far, so Auburn did lose. They're 2-2. Alabama got the win, and Missouri got the win. So they're not off to a horrible start so far with Alabama, Missouri, Auburn, Arkansas, and Tennessee. As much as you might, could you imagine Duke in the SEC if they expand in those super, and eventually you add North Carolina and Duke? Oh my God! Because I don't know about the ACC, you guys. I don't know what its future. We talk all the time about the Pac. The ACC is in a better situation than the Pac is. Let's be real. Purdue matching up. They've got their game tonight, 6:50. Memphis and FAU. A lot of people are jumping on that on the Memphis bandwagon. I don't know why. I don't know much about Memphis, but that game is at 9:20. Guys on the radio are all about Memphis. Some believe they might be the strongest 8 seed of the bunch. But yeah, so SEC's not doing terrible. My whole thing though is when we talk about Ty, you mock the SEC. Well, look, they did okay day 1. Okay, let's see how many of these guys advance to the Sweet 16 and then to the Elite 8. Let's see how many of those advance, because the last 2 years, it's not been very good. It's not been very good. We know now, especially with the portal, things are different. Year by year, it's different, but we'll see. And it's going to be really hard to argue with net rankings. I talked about that, or I mentioned it last night in Discord. It's going to be really hard to argue with net rankings if the SEC dominates in this tournament. If they send a whole bunch of teams to the Sweet 16 and to the Elite 8, of course, you become limited, right? Eventually that number has to start to mellow out. But it's going to be difficult to argue with the net rankings. And listen, there's still some possibilities here. I know there's an SEC team left, right? Isn't there one left to play? Don't we have? Yeah, we got Kentucky and Providence. Never know, the 6 versus the 11 seed there. And is there one more? Maybe no. That's it. Kentucky's the only SEC team left. Looks that way. Unless I'm overlooking, I don't see any. I think that's it. I think we're waiting on Kentucky. So, again, Kentucky will kind of wrap things up, obviously, for the SEC. But really excited about this next round. Arkansas and KU. All right. A lot of you said last night or yesterday that Arkansas was going to get the dub. Let's talk about it. Let's go into it. State lost as well. Scott Swindle says he's got Memphis. Oh, you got Memphis in that matchup or what? To go further? Our bigs are the key to the Hogs advancing. Woo MFing pig. Arkansas does match up well against KU. KU doesn't play with the kind of size that Illinois does, and the guys coming off the bench are even smaller. Here's what we look at here. All right, scroll down. They're not an elite rebounding team. They rank 209th in offensive rebounding. They rank 209th with just 9 offensive rebounds per game. That's actually not bad. Had you told me 9 offensive rebounds per game, I would have guessed that was top 100. I didn't realize that was only good enough for 209, but 9 offensive rebounds isn't atrocious, but apparently it is if you look at the grand scheme of it all. But they rank 209th, but 9 offensive rebounds, not horrible. Arkansas is not much better. They're 187th. I think they average I think it's about the same. So they're similar in that aspect. When you look at rebounds per game, they rank 101st. But Arkansas also, both these teams are at 35 rebounds per game. You start getting into the decimal conversation, right? Scoring offense, they're 100th in the country. Again, something to take into consideration is the difficulty of their schedule. Look at all those quad 1 matchups. Not a lot of room for quad 2, quad 3, quad 4 matchups for KU. Something to keep into consideration. And sometimes you have to look at those individual matchups. We're not going to do that for the sake of time here, but yeah, their Arkansas is just behind them at 74.5 or 74.4. They're at 74.9. Both these teams averaging right around 75 points a game. One of the things that stands out is how well they can force turnovers. They're top 20 in steals per game, right under 9 per game. They had 299 total steals through 34 games. Again, that's good enough to finish top 20 in the country. Threes attempted per game, 241st. Now, this was surprising. Please correct me if I'm wrong. None of this, you guys know, I looked these numbers up typically the night before. I was up late last night kind of watching a little bit, watching some highlights, watching what full games were available. Not a ton of video watching, but definitely while doing so, also looking at some of the numbers, and something that stood out was I saw them pass up a number of open looks in some of the stuff that I watched, and it kind of shows. And that's still surprising that they're only at 20. And again, I hope I'm looking at that right, but it shows 20 per game at 3-point range. I would have guessed 28, 29, and then you look at their percentage, they're 166th at 3-point percentage. They're not an elite 3-point shooting team. They're like right smack dab in the middle. They're averaging about 34%. Again, based off not a real high number. 20 attempts per game is not a real high number. We've seen teams average way higher than that, and these guys were at just 20. I think there was a point in the time of the year where they averaged about 25, 26, but that didn't last very long. That was kind of early on in the year. But here, again, 34%, that's not a bad number. There's a point in the season where Arkansas would kill to have been at 34% when they were hovering around like 28% on 18 to 20 attempts a game or whatever it was. 34% is not a bad number. It's like smack dab, almost right smack dab in the middle. When you look at these guys matched up, right, the guy that stands out, obviously, if anyone has watched any KU basketball, it's Jalen Wilson. This is a guy, 20 points a game. He damn near averages a double-double. He averages close to, 8.5 rebounds a game, 2 assists. He's a 42% overall shooter, almost 43 at 42.5. Again, he's just right at 20 points a game. Jalen Wilson is special. This is a 6'8" forward, 225 pounds, moves really well for someone that size, very athletic. He's out of Denton, Texas. Jalen Wilson is going to have to be, I don't know if you want to put, I think you want to put Devo on him, but this is a big size disparity. We know Devo's got a little bit of length, but so does Jalen. Jalen is a very, very good player and a good get for Kansas. 6'8", 225 junior, again, with 20 points a game and 8 rebounds, playing that 4 spot. Can play around the iron really well. He can defend really well. This is KU's they've got some size, but when you look at Jalen, this is the guy that stands out when you just talk about athletes. KJ Adams Jr., 6'7" forward. He's a sophomore. Dwan Harris, 9 points a game. He's a 6'1 guard. Kevin McCuller, about 11 points. He's a 6'6 guard. So they've got some length at guard, but not really. They're smaller, and they're going to struggle. And listen, if they get past Arkansas, they're going to have to deal with UConn. UConn's also got some size. I like UConn a lot. Again, you got UConn, Kansas, and UCLA. Oh, my God. When the dust settles, we'll take a look at this. And just, of course, then at that point, we'll say, well, whatever, this side of the bracket was tougher than the other side. Really starting to get the vibe this is going to end up being one of the top 2 toughest brackets, depending on how things play out. We also know they might be without their head coach. We don't know what's going on with Self, but he wasn't available for game 1. The rumor is he's going to be back for Saturday, so something to keep in mind. And then last but not least, they've got this 6'8 guard, Grady Dick. This dude he can get going. He's an overall 44% shooter, but he can get things going outside. This is someone 6'8", 205, lengthy. He could stand, he could pivot, he could make the shot, right? He could shoot, he could catch the pass and shoot off the dribble. I mean, Grady is a very good player. I mean, this is a guy who was just a freshman. If you watch him play, you'd think he was like a senior or a junior or senior. He doesn't look lost on the floor. I mean, I was really impressed with what I saw from him. Him and Wilson make this challenging. They can play with some size. Overall, I think Arkansas is going to have them in the length department. They've got guys coming off the bench with a little bit of size. Ernest Uday Jr., he's a 6'11". He's really their true freshman, the guy that can play the true 5. 6'11", 250 pounds, averages about 2 rebounds, 3 points. Doesn't get a ton of minutes, but again, someone they're gonna have to figure out. You don't want to let someone like that come off the bench and beat you just because of that 6'11", 250 pound frame. Going to have to match up well against him. You don't want them to have some guy that doesn't get a ton of minutes, a ton of points coming off the bench and killing you down around the post. But they do have that. But other than that, the rest of their guards are average to below average in height when you're talking about the other 3 guard positions. But Dick and Wilson, these are two guys. If you get them going, you're in a lot of trouble. They're going to have to contain. You might find yourself in a situation where you can maybe contain Wilson. That's going to be a tall task. Maybe you can get Devo on Jalen. Maybe you put Devo on Grady. I don't know. It's kind of a toss-up, but I wouldn't be surprised at all to see Walsh come in and help out. Walsh might get some key minutes. You guys talk about Graham. It would be nice to see him on offense around the post, get some points, but defensively he'd get chewed up, I feel like, a little bit. He might struggle just a tad, but Graham could get some minutes, maybe. I don't know. I don't know what Muss is going to work with here, but Kansas is a team that could turn it on offense, especially if they get going. They're not typically a team that's going to shoot 10 at 20, right? We just went over their numbers. They average about 20 shots outside, 20 looks outside, and they're knocking down 30, just right around 34% of those on average. Not a great number for them, but again, Grady is someone, if he gets it going, if Jalen Wilson gets it going, Jalen could score on all 3 levels. Jalen could score outside. He could score off the dribble. He could score from 15 feet. He could finish at the rim. Devo's probably going to be matched up on Wilson, but it's him and Grady that really keep you up at night. These are 2 really good players for them. So let's see here. What other notes do I have? Kansas has a Big 12. Yeah, he was talking about Wilson. He was the Big 12 Player of the Year, first team All-American. He's considered the forward spot. And then they have, of course, the sharpshooter and Dick, who was second team All Big 12. And again, he's a true freshman. Looking at these numbers here on offense, their offensive efficiency is top 30. Arkansas's 53rd. Their effective field goal percentage, they're 76th. Let's see, free throw percentage. They're ranked pretty far back if I'm looking at that right. 2-point percentage, they're somewhere around the top 70. They're not an elite 3-point shooting team. There's a little bit of work to be done. They've been pretty inconsistent. If you look at some of their losses, again, when you talk about those quad one matchups, pretty not super consistent. Their defensive efficiency is top 10. It's number 7 in the country. Arkansas's top 20. Their 2-point defense somewhere above mediocre. They're pretty good, right? 3-point defense, they're kind of in the same category. Arkansas's ranked actually in 3-point defense. They're ranked number 26 in the country. And again, they can turn you over. They can get some steals. They're pretty similar when you look at a lot of these different categories. Arkansas, there's some similarities there between Arkansas and KU. The thing that obviously gives Arkansas the advantage, I feel like, is their length. Arkansas can match up with these guys as far as talent, I feel like. I think they can match up. When you're talking about 3 potential first-round draft picks between Ricky Council, Anthony Black, and then your for sure lottery pick in Nick Smith Jr., and then when you have the Mitchell twins playing as well as they are, no, they're not first-round, second-round draft picks, but they're guys that can play into a role here. I feel like, you need some great guard play. That's what Arkansas can do. If their guards turn it up on both ends of the floor, continue to play great perimeter defense, crowd the lanes, don't let them get into any kind of rhythm on offense, Arkansas can make this a very difficult game. I'm not going to lie to you. This is I used to use the phrase coin flip during the football season. This is a coin flip. Illinois was a coin flip. I didn't say that, but I mean, really looking back, it was. I didn't expect Arkansas to control that game the way they did. They controlled, 37 minutes or something of the game. They were in the lead for 37 or so minutes in that game. Did not expect them to hold multiple double-digit leads the way that they did. And they controlled the game. Even when Illinois was able to kind of close up the gap, I wasn't sure. I thought Arkansas might fold. I kind of felt like it was coming. And they found a way to stay on top of it, right? So they surprised me. And I told you guys, just because I picked KU in my bracket doesn't necessarily mean that I'm going to stick with them in my prediction. Although, this is the ultimate coin flip game. I think this is just as difficult for me as any game this year. Maybe the most difficult, because KU's also a little bit streaky, but mostly consistently a solid basketball team, whereas Arkansas, on the other end of the spectrum, I said all year, or at least halfway through the season, okay, if they make the tournament, they're not going to go far because I'm not seeing any consistency here. They're not playing well away from Bud Walton. They were good on the neutral floor, but 2 of those games weren't really neutral floors. You played in front of a mostly Razorback crowd. KU travels well, and they travel really well. In fact, some say they're one of the best traveling teams in the Big 12, which is saying a lot. This is going to be a very, very, very tough matchup for Arkansas. I hate to go with my gut over my heart. I am taking KU in this game. I think it's going to be a good game. I hope it's going to be a good game. KU's experience. Now, some of this could bank on Self if he's there or not. I don't know. Again, we don't know. That could change this a little bit in the momentum of the game. It might actually be a benefit if he's not there, right? They can use that as fuel. We got to play for our coach, right? Or if he shows up, it could be the same thing, right? We got to play. He's here. We got to play for our coach. But that could also have maybe a negative effect. He's coming in after he wasn't there for game 1, and maybe they've kind of gotten into the vibe of him not being around, and maybe that changes things when he shows up. I don't know. Whatever the KU media might try to sell you. I don't know. But I just think with KU, I just think that this is – and you can say the same about Arkansas because they went on back-to-back Elite Eight runs, but this team knows and understands what it takes to win these big games. Arkansas hasn't done that. Arkansas has not won the game that they have no business winning. Now, maybe the game against Kentucky, right? Going on the road against Kentucky at Rupp Arena, but I would also argue that was when Sheboy was not playing very well. That team was having some major chemistry issues. They were losing games they had no business losing, or close games they had no business being close. I think they kind of caught Kentucky at a right time. It's great. That Musselman's undefeated at Rupp. That place, I don't know what it is about that place. He doesn't mind playing there. It could be a whole new roster or not, with whatever. He found a way to win that game, and they won, and they controlled that game. Remember, we thought this is it. They turned the corner. We haven't seen consistency. I don't know. I mean, Musselman says this team's built for March. We're going to find out. We're going to find out really quick. Now, if they get past KU, I might take Arkansas. I don't know. I might take Arkansas to go pretty damn far. I mean, and that's not me hopping on the wagon. That's me looking at KU and knowing how good and what they're capable of being. Again, the Bill Self thing does kind of throw a wrench in all this because I just don't know how that affects them, and it clearly didn't affect them game one. I mean, they beat the hell out of their opponent. But they can be a very effective team. Arkansas's not shown the kind of consistency in the month of February that I wanted to see that would have me believing in them a little bit more throughout the tournament. Now, would it shock me if they won? No. In fact, my confidence is a little bit higher in KU winning. I would probably put it at about a 4 or a 5 maybe. But Arkansas is capable of going toe-to-toe simply from the experience on this coaching staff, the quality of the coaching staff, Musselman just being a monster in the month of March, the talent on the floor, what we saw against Illinois. I mean, again, they controlled 37 minutes of that game. It never really felt like they were going to lose. You know, of course, Illinois, they closed that gap, right? They were able to close that gap down to a 5-point lead for the Hogs. But Arkansas still was able to hang on. They didn't collapse. That had an impression on me a little bit, but I'm just going to stick with my bracket here. Really, again, it is still a coin toss. It's still tough because of what I saw against Illinois. But I got to let my brain has to take over here. The bias has to come out. This does kind of feel like last year when I picked the Zags to beat Arkansas. It does feel that way. I do think Arkansas has a shot. I think the power predictor on ESPN, I think they give Arkansas like a 40% shot or something. I mean, it was higher than I thought it would be. I really thought it would be like 25, maybe 20, but I think they like them at like, I think it was 35 or 40 last I saw. What used to be called the Basketball Power Index, the BPI. They just call it the matchup predictor now, I think is the new term. But this does feel like Gonzaga. When I picked the Zags over Arkansas last year to advance to the Elite Eight, they beat the Zags last year. They got that win. I was wrong. The Zags were the 1 seed in that bracket. They had Arkansas. Now Arkansas was a 4 seed, right? We saw that consistency in February. I think that team was just really well built. They had leaders up and down that roster. I felt like there were 2 or 3 guys that could lead those guys into battle. Don't know that they have that. I really don't. Outside of Devo, they're going to need Devo to go. He's going to have to be the best two-way player. This is going to have to be one of his best performances in postseason play, I think, in order for Arkansas to get past him. The poll is tough, man. I mean, the Hogs can win with a limited Nick Smith Jr. versus Kansas. That is the poll. That's our Odd Soul poll. Brought to you by our sponsors over at the Odd Soul. 55% of you say yes. 45% of you say no. We have seen Arkansas win games and actually perform pretty well with Nick Smith on the bench, but we've also seen Nick Smith absolutely just go off in a span of like 4 minutes. All of a sudden, he racks up some quick points. Let's see. Has anyone learned as soon as we do good, we lay an egg? Just saying, guys. I hope I'm wrong. But until they prove me wrong, says Tristan. I'm kind of with Tristan. We've not seen, and that's a big part of this, right? We didn't see the consistency out of them throughout the season. We didn't see them get a good quality win. I mean, you had some opportunities, and they fell short, right? You look at both the Alabama games. Tennessee, it just felt like Tennessee was, you're going to lose that game. Auburn, you walked into a hornet's nest, right? Arkansas is a better team, and I think they showed that. Obviously, I think they showed that. But, when they got revenge later on. But, yeah, I think it's tough getting Kansas in the second round. I think that's a tough draw. Now, I don't have a lot of faith that Kansas is going to go that much further simply because you've still got, TCU, who might be one of the best 6 seeds in this tournament. You've got UConn, who could play with some athleticism and some real length, some great talent. I think I mentioned UCLA. Some believe Northwestern might actually be one of the better 7 seeds in this tournament. But Arkansas is a good 8 seed. I think they are, but I just don't like them against KU. I just don't. If they had shown me a little bit more, had we seen some some more consistent play, especially when Nick Smith came back. When we thought they flipped the switch, and again, had they just kept going and whatever, win some games maybe they shouldn't have won, we'd have a different attitude right here. And then, obviously, had that happen, you probably wouldn't be the 8 seed right now, right? You could be a 7 or a 6 seed, so you're in a little bit different situation. But you're here because of your poor play in February. We've talked about it. I said this back in January. You can't have a so-so January and turn around and have a so-so February. You can't do that. They did that, and so you ended up as the 8 seed with a tough draw against KU. This is only on Arkansas. They've got an uphill climb. You wish you didn't have to face someone like KU until the Sweet 16 or later on, but here you are, right? This is a tough bracket, man. I'm not going to lie to you. I have TCU beating Arizona State, and I have Gonzaga over Grand Canyon, and then I have St. Mary's over VCU. Those are my picks. UConn over Iona. So there's some good games in this bracket left to be played. So I know it's not what you guys wanted to hear. I will say, it's a tough game. It is a coin flip for me, but it's and like I said, the last game was too. But I feel a little bit more confident in my pick with Kansas. But if Arkansas comes out and play anywhere near as well as they did against Illinois, Arkansas can win this game. I think the 3 out of the 4 scenarios that are on the table are KU blowout, KU by single digits, or 10. I don't know. I don't know that you consider in this day and age 10-point win a blowout. I definitely don't. But I could see a close win for KU or a close win for Arkansas. I didn't see a blowout win for Illinois or for Arkansas over Illinois, and again, I don't think they did. But that could have gotten ugly last night for Illinois had Arkansas been able to maintain that lead. And they didn't. But what they did do when they faced some adversity, they bounced back and they found a way. They found a way to win that game, and that was impressive. And I was really impressed that they held on to a double-digit lead for as long as they did. What was the highest score? Wasn't it like 16, 17 points was the largest lead for Arkansas? So, yeah. Again, if I'm wrong, would I be shocked? No, I wouldn't. I'm going to be jumping in here with joy. Of course I'm rooting for the Razorbacks. Of course I want them to win. But I don't know, man. I've got to pull the heart and the brain. I got to pull them apart, Got to pick. I've got to go with my brain here. I think KU. I think it's more likely KU probably by double digits, maybe 10, 12 points. That's kind of where I'm at with it. The Zags were the number 1 seed overall, actually. Yeah. I don't know if you're talking to me, but I talked about that. Let Kamani bring that energy. Yeah, Kamani. Listen, man, I'm telling you, if these guys match that energy, they play at that level. God, could you imagine them getting a double-digit lead and holding on to it against someone like KU? KU could just lay an egg, and that wouldn't be surprising for any KU fan if you look at their season. I mean, they had kind of a head-scratching season for them, KU did. But, when you look back on their year, and again, yeah, Arkansas is at 40% on the matchup predictor. 3-point spread, so it's down to a 3-point spread. I might be wrong here. KU might. This might be a really close game. But they lost to Tennessee 64-50. They beat Indiana, who was 14th at the time, 84-62. But then they went on a 3-game losing streak to Kansas State, TCU, and Baylor. All 3 of those teams were ranked. Kansas State, they lost to on the road. They were 13th at the time. They lost to TCU at home, 83-60. At home, they lost to TCU. It was 14th at the time. They went on the road and lost to Baylor. They then beat Kentucky. They then got revenge on Kansas State, but then they dropped another ranked game against Iowa State. And then they closed out the season with a loss to Texas, 75-59. They then went on to beat West Virginia and Iowa State, only to drop in the Big 12 tournament to Texas, 76-56. I mean, they're all over the place. You see what I'm saying? Like, nothing will surprise me. That's probably why I've got my I feel like when they bring it, I mean, listen, they got revenge on Baylor at home, 87-71. Then they went on the road and they beat a really good TCU team, 63-58. I mean, they blanked so many teams. Like, they're hot or cold. They beat Missouri at Missouri 95-67. We know how good, I hate to say it, Missouri is a good team. They went on the road and beat the shit out of Missouri, 95-67. These are the Big 12. These guys were 13-5 in conference play, 28-7 overall. I mean, that's pretty good when you look at. You just don't know. They're similar to Arkansas, only that when they show up, they could beat the hell out of you, right? If they don't show up, they could lose some head scratchers, right? I mean, they got dominated by Tennessee. No, I think that was that wasn't the Big 12 matchup, the SEC Big 12 matchup. This was something else, right? What was this? Was this a tournament? Bad Boy Mowers Battle for Atlantis. Okay, so this was a neutral floor, but they lost by 14 to then 22 5-1 ranked Tennessee Volunteers. They lost by 14. So, I mean, you just don't know what you're getting with KU. But when you look at some of the stats, when you look at some of the numbers, they're side by side in certain categories, and that's what makes this so tough. And they've played, I think, a tougher schedule. It just depends on what team shows up, right? If the best of the best show up for both of these teams, this could be a very fascinating game. Kamo Gang says we win an OT. That could happen. I'm not ruling that out. I'm not ruling out an overtime matchup. All right, we're going to go ahead and drop this poll. We're at the hour 3 mark here. Here we go. If you want to get in on that poll, you got a second here. I'll give you 3 seconds. 2, 1. Boom. All right, we're going to end it. The Hogs can win with a limited Nick Smith Jr. versus KU. 55% of you. Look how split this is. 55% of you say yes. 44% of you say no. There you have it. All right. Devo is a dog. Let's see. Devo is a dog. He's gonna come out ready to go. Tournament Devo is something else. Imagine if you get tournament Devo and you get a tournament Ricky Council, and the Mitchell twins come out and play fantastic defense. Imagine that. I think Arkansas could go toe-to-toe with anybody in this tournament. When they're at their best, making the Final Four shouldn't surprise anybody when they're at their best. Must adjustments aren't just in-game or halftime. They're regular season to postseason, just like the NBA. They really are. Yeah, I mean, I agree with that. I mean, he's talked about that. The Twins are finding their groove, says Mike. Charles Harper says, oh, well, he deleted it. We're gonna see some things in lineups we haven't seen yet. Listen, I'm not ruling anything out. I'm really not. It wouldn't shock me if he goes heavy guard, if he goes 4 guards and Jordan Walsh to start. You know, nothing would shock me. I don't know what the preferred lineup should look like against these guys. I'm curious what KU comes out with. We match up well with Kansas, and they do. Arkansas matches up well with Kansas. They do. But let's see. But we can do basic fundamental. We can do the basic fundamentals well, such as free throws and no turnovers. I also believe we will have to make some threes as well. If Arkansas has to shoot above 16 threes, and that's usually for Arkansas, that's not a good sign, unless obviously they're making them. I mean, we've seen them a couple times this year hit some crazy numbers outside the perimeter. But I don't know. KU has done as much film study as anybody, right? I mean, they're going to know when we force Arkansas to set back and have to settle for jump shots, they get in trouble. Everybody knows this. This has been the chemistry to really throw a wrench in what Arkansas does. We didn't see Illinois do that a whole lot last night or yesterday. I think KU will. And that's another thing that's going to make this pretty tough. Mitchell twins, Kamani, Walsh, and AB. That'd be a wild starting 5, says Mike. Yeah. All right. I will be here live for the postgame. All right. Make sure you guys, I appreciate each and every one of you. Make sure you like, share, subscribe on your way out. I can't wait. It's going to be wild no matter what. I hope to God I'm wrong. I really do. I would love to see Arkansas advance to another Sweet 16 appearance. But it's going to be tough. You hate that you had to draw a KU this early. But, hey, it's a tournament, baby. I mean, you get what you get and you don't throw a fit. You go out there and you play your best, you get the win. That's what matters. You find a way. We'll see if they can do it. Hopefully they can, and hopefully I'm wrong. But, yeah, you guys enjoy the rest of your Friday. For those of you fellow nerds and you're big on Diablo, hey, that Diablo 4 beta if you pre-ordered the game or if you ordered some chicken sandwich. I did it yesterday. I was sat in the damn lobby at KFC trying to figure it out. But you have to download the app, you have to order a pickup off the app, and you have to order a specific damn sandwich, which I didn't do. I told them at the register, I said, listen, charge me for that damn sandwich, but give me something else. I don't care if it's a cheaper sandwich. I don't care. But that's how you get in on the beta, I'm told. And they're going to do another open beta, I think, next weekend. So for any of you, and this is on console and PC, by the way, I'm looking forward to it. I hope I find some time to hop on. I will. I'm going to make time today because I'm going to put in some time with Diablo 4. I'm excited for it. I'm ready. I'm ready to go, baby. All right. Enjoy the rest of your Friday. Enjoy your weekend. Yeah. Thanks, Ty. I do love these talks. I appreciate you, Justin. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Nick Smith Jr. gets hot beyond the arc. Let's hope so. I'll see you guys on the post game. All right. Have a good rest of your Friday. Go Hawks. How long did that take you, the initial edit? How long did that take you, talking about the actual graphic itself?
Right, so the whole design was probably maybe an hour. It was a but yeah, I had a couple friends ask me if I could show like a behind the scenes process of me putting together a design, and I don't know how much I actually revealed in that, the fact that it was sped up 10, 15 times or something like that. So I don't know if they got to really see the techniques as much, but kind of gave them an idea of kind of how I play around with putting things together and what order I do stuff. So
the sped up process part of the editing, I was digging it. I was like, I've got to show that on the Patreon show. But Josh, I do, man, again, really appreciate you taking time. I know your window was a little short. You didn't have a whole lot of time, and I appreciate you coming on this Sunday afternoon.
I appreciate you having me on.